1 minute. Good afternoon. I'd like to bring the November 17th, 2020, 3 p.m. meeting to order. Good afternoon. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you to the school board meeting this Tuesday. The public is encouraged and welcome to address the school board at the hearing of citizens. If you wish to speak during the hearing of citizens, please pick up a card in the back of the chambers. Print your name and topic clearly and return the card to our board assistant, Kathy Tompkins. At the appropriate time, I will ask you to speak. Come forward. Today, we have the Riverview High School Army JORTC under the direction of First Sergeant Fernando Garcia.
Present. Arms.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Arms.
Thank you again, the Riverview High School Army JROTC. Our student representative today is Abby Ivy. She is a senior at Riverview High School. Welcome, Abby. It's nice for you to join us as student representative. I have a certificate for you, but could you tell us a little bit more about yourself and tell us about the Civility Squad character trait for November and how it's affected you?
So my name is Abby Ivy. I'm a senior at Riverview. I am also a 4-year cheerleader there. And I am in 4 honor societies. And next year I plan on graduating and going to USF for a degree in management. So I'm very excited for that. And then this month's Civility Squad character trait is speak kindly. Say what you mean what you say, and just don't say it in a mean way. And I feel like that is something that has been associated with Riverview in a great period of time. So one example is within our English classes, we speak about literature and it brings up different issues that different people have opinions on. However, I feel like we're able to speak kindly with each other and discuss those issues in a positive way. It's also seen within our cheer team where we all speak kindly with each other and we like to make ourselves feel good while also being productive and remaining effective within our squad. I think overall, the administration, teachers, and classmates and students at Riverview are a great example within this character trait because I feel like everyone is kind and nice within that school. And our schools remain professional while also keeping up with this character trait.
We'd like to thank you for serving as our student representative and present you with the certificate I gave you, and we wish you the best of luck in the future. Any special presentations for today is the U.S. Presidential Scholars. Would Steve Cantis please approach the podium?
So good afternoon, Chairperson or Chairwoman Brown, members of the school board, Superintendent Asplin, Mr. Hardy, and our student representative, Representative Abby Ivy. I'd like to ask Principal Del Castillo and Principal Covert to come up, please, with their two students from Riverview and Pineview. Y'all can come on back here. So today I have the privilege of sharing details about the U.S. Presidential Scholar Award, for which Sarasota County Schools has nominated 2 outstanding high school students this year. The U.S. Presidential Scholar Program was established in 1964, and the mission of the award is to recognize and honor superior high school seniors. We certainly have 2 of those here with us today. Students are selected based on outstanding scholarship in one of 2 categories: academics or career and technical education. Joshua Megan from Riverview High School has been nominated for the Career and Technology Education category, and Grace Kim of Pineview has been nominated for the academic category. The next step for Joshua and Grace will be a state evaluation. Up to 20 state nominees, 10 male and 10 female, will be chosen for the academic portion, and up to 5 state nominees will be chosen for the career and technical education portion. If selected, Josh and Grace will be invited to apply for the National U.S. Presidential Scholars Program. The 2021 U.S. Presidential Scholars will be selected by the Commission on Presidential Scholars and will receive the Presidential Scholars Medallion. So here to present the first student is Ms. Del Castillo, the principal of Riverview High School.
Good afternoon, Superintendent Asplin, Sarasota County School Board, Mr. Hardy, Miss Ivy, and Miss Tompkins. So behind me is Josh Megan, and Josh is an IB DP senior, which means he is experiencing the hardest curriculum we can offer at Riverview High School and is doing quite well. He is a Sarasota County student through and through. He went to Philippi Shores, then Sarasota Middle, and then he landed at Riverview. His unweighted GPA is a 4.0, weighted is a 5.2.
Wow.
So he is very talented. In CTE course load, he has a GPA of a 4.0. Fun fact about Josh, he's never scored below a 5 on an FSA or an EOC. So he has perfect scores all the way across his entire career. In engineering, he is a CTE program completer, which means he completed 3 or more CTE courses within that pathway. He holds an IC3 Spark, which is a CAPE digital tool, and an Autodesk Inventor, which is a CAPE industry certification. He is part of CTSO, which is the Career and Technical Student Organization. He is a competition medal winner. He won 5th place in the dragster event at TSA, which is the Technology Student Association competition, state competition, I should say, in 2019, and 6th place in the dragster event at TSA in 2018. Unfortunately, they didn't have that in 2020. His leadership roles are CTSO officer position, and he is currently the RHS TSA chapter vice president. Currently, Josh and his problem-solving assisted in designing, testing, and creating 3D printing clips that allowed student desk shields to stay upright when computer cords were present. So without further ado, Joshua Meakin.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. I started taking tech classes in 7th grade, and I never knew how far they would take me. I was just following an interest in technology, which is what I thought and still think is the future. And here I am, many years later, enrolled in engineering design and development at Riverview, and I'm hoping to use everything that I've learned to get a degree in mechanical engineering. I just really love problem solving in mechanical design. The world is currently challenged, and it's important now more than ever for scientists and engineers to step up and do what we can to make a better and more sustainable future. I've been fortunate enough to have incredible teachers who always encourage me to follow my goals. I've even competed nationally in the Technology Student Association, which is in STEM events, and I'm sorry. And I'm not really sure where this path will lead, but I'm grateful to be the Sarasota County Schools representative for CTE, and maybe my enthusiasm will help inspire others. Thank you.
Really done. Thank you, Josh. That's quite the list of accomplishments there. So congratulations to Josh on his award. I'm now going to have Dr. Stephen Covert, the principal of Pineview, to come up and present his student for her award.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Canties. Good afternoon, Dr. Asplin, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, board members, and congratulations to Dr. Rose and Mr. Edwards, and welcome to our student representative, Abby. It's an honor and privilege to be before you this afternoon as the proud principal at Pineview. What we have next to me is Grace Kim. She is an absolutely outstanding student. She is a first-generation Korean-American student, and she is a true polymath whose interests and accomplishments occur across many disciplines. Academically, Grace is an emergent scholar, a term reserved for the most intellectually precocious students. She has attempted the most rigorous academic schedule across all disciplines, electing to take our AP Capstone Diploma sequence. Having successfully taken over 15 college-level courses already, Grace's GPA is over 5.0, and her SAT score places her in the 99.4th percentile. Quiet by nature, Grace is nevertheless highly respected by her teachers and peers as a voice of reason and kindness. When she speaks, others listen to her calm, reasoned observations and arguments. Grace's extracurricular involvement occurs both on and off campus and is extensive. She is currently president of our speech and debate team and captain of her event, Extemporaneous Speaking. Grace has attained state and national level recognitions, and last year was selected to be a member of the USA Debate Development Team. Grace was elected by her peers as class historian, and she is an active member of our Peace Jam chapter, dedicated to making improvements in our local community. A gifted and recognized violinist, Grace performs with the Sarasota Youth Orchestra. Grace is also a Star Youth Leadership Program graduate. The circumstances under which she has excelled have been tremendously challenging. Raised by immigrant parents, her father toiled as a night shift janitorial manager until a year ago when he suffered a massive stroke. Prior to and coincident with this event, Grace's mother has been battling cancer. Neither is fluent in English, requiring Grace to interpret and assist them in negotiating American culture and our healthcare system. Grace, and before her, her older brother James, also a Pineview graduate, have aided their parents in securing American citizenship. Grace's successes and achievements fill her parents with pride, and it's my privilege and pleasure to present to you our presidential scholar, Miss Grace Kim.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Dr. Covert. So I really want to start with talking more about my parents because I think they deserve a lot more recognition. My mom was pretty much born in a really small village in South Korea near the mountains where she literally had to walk an hour every single day just to get to elementary school. And my dad was born in an equally tiny fishing village of South Korea where he was raised by a single mom because his dad passed when he was really young. And despite all of those circumstances, my parents have always said that no sacrifice is too big for me and my brother James. And they're pretty much the reasons why I'm able to give you this speech today. So huge thank you to them. I love you guys so much. They're also watching this at home, so hi Oma, hi Appa. I love you guys. But I also want to spend some time thanking both the school district and Pineview, because honestly, they've been a huge support system for me as well. So I started joining in the school district in 4th grade when I attended Ashton Elementary for 2 years, and then I came to Pineview in 6th grade, where I've been ever since. And I've been here a pretty decent amount of time. Now, I don't know how many seniors are watching this right now, but I can speak for all of us when I say that college applications are really, really stressful. But luckily, I've had the most amazing counselors and teachers at Pineview who have supported me so much throughout this process. I seriously couldn't have done anything without them. I don't know where I'm going to go to college yet, but hopefully wherever I go, I'm going to be studying political science or international relations and pursuing a career as either a political advisor or a diplomat. And it's absolutely insane and amazing that I'm even able to say that wherever I go to college, I'm going to be pursuing my dreams. And that's largely thanks to the amazing community at Pineview, my super awesome parents, and all of my friends who have supported me through everything that I've been through. So huge thank you to all of you. I couldn't have done this without you, and I'm so grateful to be representing Sarasota. Thank you so much. I hope you all have a great day.
Thank you. Ms. Goodwin?
Wow, well, I just want to say to both of these wonderful young adults, because they certainly act in an adult manner, so I'm going to say that, young adults, what a remarkable achievement you've had. And I just want to wish you both the very best in the future, because I know your life is going to skyrocket and you're going to make all your dreams come true. But we are very proud of you. We do regard this achievement not as a small task, but as a very large task. So thank you for your hard work, your vigilance, your great attitudes. This doesn't go unnoticed, and you know, hope that you have a wonderful holiday and that the rest of this year perhaps will get brighter, and we'll put this COVID behind us and go forward. But have a great life and a great year, and many, many thanks. You're terrific.
Thank you. Before we go on with our program, I would like to. Did they want pictures of us before we move on? We'll stand. You want us to stand up here? There you go. Thank you. And as we stood up, you may have noticed there's some different faces up here at the dais. This morning, we swore in our 2 newest board members, and we had our reorganizational meeting. I am now the chair, and Jane will be the vice chair. But I'd like you to meet our newest members, Tom Edwards and Karen Rose. And we're all going to be working together. Do you have anything for the superintendent's report?
I do, just a few items, actually. First of all, again, congratulations to our students. We are very, very proud of them. They're amazing, amazing students. I do want to bring up first quarter report cards. Just a reminder, report cards for the first quarter were released in the Family Access Portal last Friday. And please consider creating a portal account if you have not already. If you do not have an account, we will be sending your report card through the mail as of this Friday, November 20th. Also, wanted to mention our need for substitutes, and I know that we've talked about this a few times, but just to give you an indication, right now, you know, we do have 723 substitutes on our substitute list. 723. And on any given day in a district our size, we have around 150 to 200 teacher absences that need to be filled by subs. So we have 723 on the list, and we're usually around the 200 mark each day. So So in a way, yes, we do need subs. We need subs who are willing to work every day. And so if you are that person and you want to sub for us and you want to work every day, especially on Mondays and Fridays, we definitely have a spot for you. I do want to remind everyone that our district pays more than surrounding districts, as I said last week. And then we will also be having a 3% raise for our subs here very, very soon. So think about that, and please apply if you are interested. Also, our second semester plan, I just want to tell board members on the next board workshop, I'd like to talk about that just a little bit. Our second semester plan will probably have the emergency order from the DOE by then. And so I will be putting that on the workshop to give you an update on that. And then food service, just a reminder to let everyone know that every student and child under the age of 18, breakfasts and lunches for the upcoming Thanksgiving break, you can receive those for free. I want to thank our food and nutrition team for working so hard to make this happen. Meals must be ordered by 5 p.m. this Friday, the 20th, and pickup is next Tuesday, the 24th. And there'll be 5 pickup locations. So please take a look at our website, and you'll be able to see the information there to receive the free breakfasts and lunches during the Thanksgiving break. Also, just a reminder, our professional day for our teachers tomorrow, November 18th. There will be no school for students. Teachers will be collaboratively planning with their peers, training, catching up on work, etc. And schools will also undergo deep cleaning. And then also, just wanted to say this year's Thanksgiving break is on Wednesday, November 25th to Friday, November 27th, and just want to say happy Thanksgiving to everyone. And then finally, our COVID update. We do have Michael Drennan from the Department of Health online with us in case we need to ask him any questions. But to give you the latest current numbers in our school district, and then I'll turn it over to Michael Drennan for other comments district-wide. But right now, within our school district, currently, as far as staff are concerned, we have 21 positive staff, and current student positives are at 46. And then as far as quarantining is concerned, current staff quarantined 44, current students quarantined 752. So that's where we stand right now in the school district. And Michael Drennan, I know that you're on today, and board members, if you had any questions, he's here to, even though we just talked about this last week, I did want to bring him on in case you had any questions.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy to go over any numbers for the county or answer any questions. Just kind of tell me which direction you want me to go in.
First question we have from Bridget Ziegler.
Hello, Mr. Drennan. Thank you for joining us, and I appreciate the superintendent adding this on a regular topic of discussion just as we discuss to monitor the situation. I know across the country that there are rising rates, and I know that, but as we look at Sarasota County, and I know Dr. Asplin just went over the positive rates, or numbers, excuse me, not rates, for this district. But I wanted to ask, as I focus on, again, the hospitalizations being a major metric that we watch, can you give us an update as to Sarasota County's capacities and the rising numbers, or where we're at overall as a county?
I can do that, yes, ma'am. And thank you again for having me. Always happy to be here to answer questions. So in line with the trends, and ours trends are similar to what we're seeing in the rest of the country, although I will say Sarasota's percent positivity and number of cases isn't quite as high as other places. Our trend is in the wrong direction. We're seeing an increase much like everyone else. And that is also mirrored in our hospitalization numbers. Both an increase in hospitalizations of just overall COVID cases, but also in the number of those individuals that are needing ICU care. If I go back, let me see what dates I have. I go back to the beginning of August. The census in the hospitals was actually middle of August is when I go back to. We were looking at right at the low to mid 40s of individuals who were hospitalized with COVID on any given day. And over the last week, we're averaging about 90. And today the numbers were just over 100 individuals hospitalized with a COVID diagnosis. While the number of individuals in the ICU has not increased at the same pace, it has increased as well. So we are seeing an increase in hospitalizations and severity of illness among certain individuals.
Quick follow-up. When you determine hospitalized, does that mean they just go to the hospital and then test positive, or are admitted and for any duration? I'm just curious how they...
Those would be admitted for any duration. So my understanding is that the hospitals are testing only in situations where they're going to admit someone, so you can't go to the hospital just to get a test. A positive test at a hospital is indicative of a person who has been admitted. So that would be the number that's in, the mid 90s right now. Those individuals who have a severe enough illness to require admission to the ICU, so more complex or more severe illness, we're looking at right around 20 of those 100 meet that kind of criteria.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Jane Goodwin?
Michael Drennan, thank you for all you're doing for us. We really appreciate it, and you've been a really good friend to the school district for a lot of years, having served with you on the SHAC committee for a number of those years. If we look at positive results and positive tests, are we testing as much now as we were in the summer, countywide?
I think our numbers have actually, they're not quite as high as they were in the summer, but they've increased significantly from where we were in when school started. I think what we saw was a huge capacity for the PCR test, which was kind of our gold standard and the first test we were using. And now with the rapid test, our capacity has increased. And just over the last, I would say, month, we've seen an increase in getting close to the numbers that we had during the summertime. Not quite as high, but getting close. Our capacity to test has been expanded with the antigen test or the rapid test, which I think has been very helpful. And maybe one of the reasons why we're able to identify individuals quicker and some of our numbers are increasing, just because it's much easier for individuals to get tested this way.
Thank you.
Can you speak to where we seem to be getting our positive cases from? The numbers don't seem to suggest that it's spreading within the schools. Do you have any indication of where these people are getting the COVID?
I would say, the vast majority of them are getting it within the community. And with the overall increase in the community, we are seeing not only an increase in the number of students who are positive and teachers who are positive, we're also seeing an increase amongst cases in long-term care facilities and adult care facilities. But I would say the bulk of this is being driven by community cases. And with that too, I've also started to see a trend upwards in the average age of cases. If you look at the overall outbreak, if we go all the way back to March, our average age is right around 45 or 46. And just in the last 2 weeks, I'd say that's creeped up into the mid-50s, looking right around 55, 56 as the average age. So it appear to be older individuals who are getting it, not so much younger individuals at this time, but that increase has been across the board. There isn't just one group that's driving it. We're kind of seeing it everywhere.
Mr. Edwards?
Hi, Mr. Drennan. I personally think that the numbers within the school district have been moderately contained, considering the size of our population. I've been to several of the schools over the last few weeks, and the mask policy and the social distancing, it seems to be working. And what my concern, though, is that as you mentioned just briefly, that it's happening in the community. Do you have some sort sort of criteria or benchmarks that you're observing that would trip some sort of alert to our county, our executives, our city council, and to the school board? Do you have some matrix that you could share with us that would give us an ability to be forewarned?
So as far as a specific, and this is a question that's been asked multiple times, a specific metric or value that we're looking for that kind of triggers either we've turned the tide and are moving in the right direction or moving the wrong direction, there isn't a specific metric. There's multiple things that I look at. I look at the average number of cases over a 14-day period, that percent positivity over the 14-day period, and I also look at the rate of illness in the community, so the number of cases per 100,000 persons. And I can tell you at this time, all of those values are increasing, not to the level or the rapid increase that we saw in the summertime, but a slow, gradual increase over the last 6 to 8 weeks, which is concerning for us because clearly the recommendations that we're making as far as masking and social distancing aren't having the impact that we want them to have in the community. One of the reasons why we're happy to come and talk to the school board about this is to share these numbers in a real-time manner. And also I know Mr. Henry, the health officer, has regular conversations with both the Board of County Commissioners and Mr. Lewis regarding these numbers and trends. And as you said, I'm concerned about the numbers that we see overall, but also in the schools. But it's encouraging also because of the partnership that we have at the school and the control strategies and methods that the schools put in place, that we haven't seen transmission, or at least not significant transmission, within the school setting. It's that outside of school setting where it's concerning. So yes, multiple metrics I look at, not one specific benchmark that kind of sets the tone, but all of them are moving in a concerning direction right now.
As a follow-up, if I could just ask that, as I looked into the same trends from June into July, we started to have the same sort of ascension in cases that were moderately and moving in the right direction, and then it exploded. I guess what I'm trying to ascertain from you is if there's some number or some days of numbers that the school district should be watching for, so that we start to have proactive conversations about where we go from here.
I don't know. I mean, proactive measures and changing strategies that the school would take in response to the outbreak? Is that what you're? Yes. As I said, no specific metrics and no specific guidance from the state, and not trying to be elusive, but a lot of the guidance that we get comes from the Central Health Office in Tallahassee as it relates to specific recommendations that we would make. And a lot of those will be looking at transmission in the schools, and we just haven't seen that at this time. And so as far as making recommendations about full classroom closure or school closure or changing recommendations on how school would be or education would be offered, we haven't had guidance or that, or don't see numbers like that because we haven't seen concerning transmission within the school setting.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Drennan, one of the things that concerns me, well, I'm happy in a way that most of these cases, I understand, especially for the students, are mild. I don't believe we've had any hospitalizations with our children, and they're mild cases. And, whatever reason these kids get tested and then they find out about it, but I'm sure there's other kids out there that haven't been tested that probably are positive too. What can we do to encourage more students to get tested and to really bring home the fact to these parents that If the child is sick, they need to stay home. If the child has been tested and waiting for results, or if the child has been quarantined, how important it is for them to not only come to school, but also not go out with your friends, that you had been in school with, because you're quarantined because you may very well be contagious. And when they're not feeling bad, and even the person who had COVID doesn't have symptoms, I mean, it's hard to make them understand how important the quarantine is. What can we do to drive that point home so that they take it seriously?
That is a very, that's a difficult question. I think, consistency in messaging, both from the district and from the health department, I do believe is helpful. I know the district has put out several, informative pieces to parents, letting them know that testing is available. Also, what symptoms to be on the lookout for. We try to do that at the health department as well. We strive really hard to reach all of the contacts, especially when they're students or teachers even, just so they are aware of the importance of contact tracing. I think that's one of the strengths that we have is our relationship with the district. When we do have contacts, when we have a team that we communicate with the schools, we are able to keep those students out, whether or not they're cases or contacts or staff. It's more difficult in the community where we don't have as much, I don't want to say control, but influence over individuals actually following our recommendations. I just think that messaging is important, and continuous messaging, especially as we come into the holiday season, Thanksgiving coming up, Christmas coming up. I know it's traditional for people to spend time with their families, and people travel from all over the country to spend time with their families, and difficult this year to make decisions about who you see and who you don't see, how you spend time with your families, because the potential for spread is going to be very high this time of year, and that's why our messaging is so important at this time.
Thank you. And could it possibly be because they're wearing masks that we're not seeing as much transmission in the school, and that the cases that they're getting aren't as serious? And maybe because you're wearing a mask is why you've got a mild case?
I can't really speak to severity of illness in masks, because the research and science just really hasn't shown that. So I don't really know, but I would say the masking, the social distancing, the buy-in from teachers and staff and students and parents as it relates to masking is definitely what is keeping and reducing the transmission in the school setting. The more as time goes on, the more and more we're learning the benefits of masking and social distancing. And I do think that's why we're seeing, from a positive standpoint, not minimal, if any, transmission in the school setting. Also, all the work that's done from environmental controls. I know Jody has had staff work diligently on disinfection of classrooms, routine processes as it relates to disinfection in the school setting. And I think all those things combined have been very beneficial.
Well, I think the installation of all the MERV 13 HEPA filters has helped too.
I would agree 100%.
Bridget Ziegler?
Thank you. One question, and this, I'm going to pose it as a hypothetical just because I don't have any, it was posed to me, and I know our team has worked with you closely to the ominous task of contact tracing. However, so I know if a student at X school were to be quarantined based on the exposure, and student X has a sibling at another school and or a parent that is a teacher or a member of staff, are they to quarantine as well? Is that accurate? If someone within the household is now set to quarantine, that would equate to all members of that living household would be requested to quarantine. Is that accurate or no?
So that would not be accurate. So our recommendation would be, they would obviously want to be watching for symptoms, but a contact to a contact, we would not recommend quarantine. Now, there might be situations where, individuals ride to school together or something like that. But if student X is exposed at school and his parents or family members are not exposed, we would not recommend that they quarantine.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
You're welcome.
Yes, Dr. Drennan, is there any activity with antibody testing to see the amount of our population that's actually had it?
So right now, the antibody tests, the way it's been communicated to us, are not reliable at indicating previous infection or resistance to reinfection or drawing a blank on words here. So it's just not a reliable test right now based on cross-reactivity with other viruses. And so we just can't trust their results at this time. I know there's work being done to improve the antibody test, but at this time it's not a test that we're recommending or utilizing. I know the hospitals and blood banks are using that test, but from a public health standpoint, we just don't feel comfortable with the results to say someone's had it before and now they are immune, or had it before and they've lost their immunity.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think it's important that we all, I watched the 6:30 news last night, and it was rough to see how the numbers nationally have doubled what they were in July. That isn't the same for our area, thankfully, but we shouldn't get alarmed at some counties in North Dakota or South Dakota that have a 50% positivity rate. That's not what we have in Sarasota. So we have to look at our local numbers, and we also have to look at our numbers from our schools. We have a dashboard, district dashboard you can get at sarasotacountyschools.net and see what it is. We've got several schools that have had no staff out and some no students out. I mean, so it's important that when we're making our decisions, we make our decisions based on what we're seeing in our schools and the processes that we're doing, and are they working? But we are having a lot of quarantine students and staff that are being quarantined, and that's putting kids in and out, which is putting a tremendous strain on some of our families and on our staff. And we're now waiting for a new emergency order from the Department of Education about perhaps total open up in January, where some of us might say, well, wait a minute, when the numbers are worse than they were in July, or way worse than they were in March, why are we doing this? We don't know what we're going to do yet on that. We have to see what the direction is. But for those teachers that are wondering how they're going to handle that, I think the best thing to do is work within your PLC, talk about how you are handling it and where you want to go with it, and share those things with your principal, because the superintendent is working with the principals, and we don't want you complaining about what we've decided after the fact. Put your input in now with your school administration and your PLC, and we'll be making that decision. Probably December we'll be considering it and probably be making a decision in early January. So think about what you'd like to see and how we're going to perform, for these kids and working forward. Is there anything else?
No, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, now we'll move to hearing of citizens. We do have 4 cards. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. When the timer flashes yellow, you'll have 1 minute to remain to wrap up. The respect for divergent viewpoints and civility will be shown at every board meeting. Whether or not you agree or disagree with the speaker, you should listen politely, respectfully, without making any sounds of approval or disapproval. The board members are here to listen to you. This is not a time for debate, and the board will not take any formal action on your comments unless your comments relate to an agenda item. If your comments relate to a non-agenda item, the board may refer the matter to staff for a report prior to the board's next meeting. The board is committed to civility and decorum in the conduct of its meetings, and please assist us in maintaining a civil and constructive meeting environment by confining your comments to the issues and refrain from interpretive or rude remarks or those directed to or about a certain board member. We received email comments. I don't think we received any this week, did we? Prior to the meetings normally. So the first speaker is Deb Barkley.
Good afternoon. I'm Deb Barkley. I don't enjoy public speaking, but I show up here because what I desire is a true and excellent education for my children, free from agendas and political ideologies and bias. I know these things do not currently exist in the curriculum, but they do exist in the classrooms. There's many ways to bring these things in outside of the actual curriculum, so it's something that I watch for. I'm concerned. I've read that some board members think that the answer to COVID response would be remote learning for all. I know for my household this is not beneficial for my children. It doesn't provide the same opportunities to excel that they have in the brick and mortar environment. I just hope that if you're leaning towards that at any point, that you would help us understand why the students and teachers who would want to be at school in person wouldn't be permitted the freedom to do so. There's so many that are not afraid. When we do have in-person school, like now, I struggle with the fact that regarding masks, we're not really afforded the opportunity to have an actual discussion. In other scenarios, you can't mandate another person's medical decisions. People have the freedom to choose whether or not to use condoms or birth control, and if they choose not to do that, they still have the freedom to engage in sexual activity. If one person doesn't want to engage in unprotected sex, they have the option not to. And the person who chooses to be unprotected still has the freedom to engage with others who choose the same. It's just one example, but it seems fitting. Those decisions affect others as well, but we still have the freedom to choose. So if we let the government or controlling bodies make those decisions, where would it end? I believe it comes down to personal accountability. What words and actions are we using with each other? I understand that we each come to our personal views and opinions based on our life experiences and our understanding. I can't make anyone else take personal accountability. I can't make anyone hear me who refuses to listen. I can't make anyone treat me or my children fairly if they don't choose to do so. But I'm just here speaking again to remind all of us that we're accountable for the content of our own character, and how you treat others is the telltale truth about that character. Anyone can say that they're tolerant, accepting, against fascism, not racist, or peaceful, but character is proven through the way we treat each other. Peaceful resolution can only be accomplished when people take accountability for the way they treat those with opposing views. I'm here as a parent who wants better for my children than the mess in which we currently find ourselves. I'm ready and willing to have a dialogue with any other parent or educator who seeks to find solutions and understand opposing views. I've been disheartened by the way people are speaking to and treating each other. I'll leave you with this quote by Dennis Prager. Goodness is about character, integrity, honesty, kindness, generosity, moral courage, and the like. More than anything else, it is about how we treat other people.
Thank you. Ashley Coate.
Good afternoon. Welcome, Mr. Edwards and Dr. Rose. Glad to see some new faces on the board. So I had to take off work again. I know people on YouTube are pretty adamant about the fact that most of these parents don't work. I am an essential worker, so I am in the office. So my whole point and in regard to some of Dr. Asplin's comments about the emergency order lifting, that's going to affect me. I'm a single mom. I can't, when we're quarantining, I can't, where do I put my child? And I'm not saying that school is a babysitter. This is what's been said as well. That's not the case. I am an essential worker. I am not able to work from home. I am working in an office. So what am I supposed to do? What are you guys going to do for parents, single parents who don't have that option? So please make sure you're looking at every option for all parents, all students across the board when it comes to this. When we talk about COVID days, it was talked about last time for teachers. I think it's great that you guys implemented the 20 days for the teachers, but again, the parents aren't getting this either. I've had to take my sick time, my vacation time already because my son had to be quarantined, tested negative 3 times. And so who's paying for my time? I mean, this is something to think about. I can't send him to my parents because they're immune compromised. So we really need to really sit down and see how this is affecting the community as a whole. Am I going to lose my job because my kid, I mean, this is, and I'm a single mom. I mean, this is ridiculous. I've worked since I was 15 years old and I've been at the same job. And it's going to affect lots of people, you know? And so I just hope that you really look at that and think about that. When it comes to, sorry, I'm nervous today for some reason. When it comes to public comments, you talked about public comments in the workshop earlier. I was one of the 20-something that were on listening. Please look at who stays at the end of the meetings, okay? I'm not here just to make sure I'm seen or heard. I'm here because of my son, and I'm here to make my voice heard, and I'm willing to work with all of you and whatever committee or whatever. We have differencing of opinion. I just want to work with you guys. But please, no more personal information on these public comment cards. Please. I want to keep my son's school private. I want to keep his teachers private. I want to keep, I mean, we have to put our phone numbers and our addresses on here already. That's a lot. This is on YouTube. We've had doxing situations. I've had my job threatened and everything else. This is ridiculous when we come to a school board meeting just to talk to you guys because our emails aren't being heard, because you're being inundated with other emails. I understand. You've had a lot to deal with. Thank you.
Thank you. And Sharon Doma?
Doria.
Doria?
Doria. Hi, good afternoon, and welcome to our new board members. I was here last board meeting, and I heard a lot of people talking about bias, but I represent a population that confronts bias every day, the ESE population, where their opportunities are so limited just due to a label. As a retired teacher, it was easy for me to get up here and speak, but I did receive a lot of feedback from teachers who are too afraid to get up to speak, so if you will indulge me. It says, "You are my absolute hero. I'm in the position of dropping my ESE certification because I cannot be part of something I would not want for my own child." Our ESE pullout is at 20 students, where a gen ed pullout is only 14. Why should ESE be higher? The other thing I really needs to change is there has to be restrictions on ages or grades. There should never be a K-5 class. It's not appropriate socially or educationally. Now, I was able to read that to you because I swore her to secrecy. Don't give my name, don't give my school because of retaliation. This is a problem that exists. If the teachers' hands are tied, they cannot do what they have to do. We need a committee or a task force to look into this so we can untie the teachers' hands and allow them to do the best for these students. Thank you.
Excuse me, could you, wait, would you mind going out and talking to her about some of the issues? We'll have our head of our ESE talk to you for a few minutes
Sure.
and share those and maybe open up a conversation.
I would love that. Thank you.
Kristen Brooks?
Hi. All right, so I want to start with there's nothing you can do to require student testing. That is up to us. So, like, that's above your pay grade, you're not God, and the doctor said you're not in control. So I hate hearing that, because then the next thing I feel like coming out of your mouth is like, we're going to require your kid a shot to go to school, which is not going to happen either. So there's that. I just wanted to again speak to the parents, as we've got 2 new board members that are here. I'm really, really excited about this. I wanted to make sure that they knew who they voted for, because that is a big thing. You said not to speak on things that aren't. We've got Karen Rose. She is awesome. She's worked for the district as a teacher, a specialist, principal, executive director, and she retired in 2018 to run against somebody that's already on the board, since we're not allowed to say names, and she only lost by less than 1%. So I'm really glad to see that you're here, and that's awesome. She also has been in Sarasota for 34 years, which is a long time, and you have been in education for even a very long time. I feel very uncomfortable with the fact that we have someone on our board now that is a Sarasota newcomer, and this is from the Herald Tribune, who has never set foot inside of a local public school.
Excuse me.
That makes me very nervous. You did welcome them, and that was on the thing, so I'm allowed to talk about this, and it's my First Amendment right. People deserve to know what they voted into this district. I'm just speaking my piece. Don't take from my time, Shirley.
The election is over.
That's fine. People also need to be aware that there is some things like on his website about BLM that he has deleted now that I feel very uncomfortable with, how that's going to affect my child and the things that you're going to start putting in our school, since you made last October the LGBTQ month, and you didn't, or October, that's the new month, right? But Aspeline, you haven't sent out anything about the Hope Scholarship to all of our kids. Right? That's supposed to be done. Just waiting on some things. I just think it's important parents should know what they're going to be having to show up for these meetings for, right? About the mask, there's no way in the world you're going to talk me into that my kids are safer behind a mask that's made out of underwear material that you wear every day. You don't provide our kids with N95 mask. My kid, I picked her up from school today. She came trucking in with her nasty bifold, which is half of her size, and it's got fingerprints and dirt on it. They don't clean them. Like, come on. You guys spent $700,000 on things that aren't working, and now you're telling me that my kid is going to be better in a mask that you can, like, smell a fart through? You're not even requiring them wearing certain masks. You just require them to wear something over their face. I mean, at least stop making us look like idiots and sending our kids to school with cloth on their face. Give us some N95 mask. I mean, doesn't that make sense? Like, the doctor even said it. He can't even, there's not this, that, and the other. Thank you for that question, by the way. What I would like to know is how many of those teachers and students died? How many died?
Right now, there is nothing that would stop any parent from sending their child to school with an N95 mask. That ends the hearing of citizens. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Yes, the following items were added after the agenda was published. Item number 8, November 10th, 2020, board meeting minutes. And item number 9, an addendum to the instructional classified personnel report.
I move for approval of the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
And the consent agenda was approved and seconded, and now are there any comments?
You have to vote on it.
We're going to vote? Can we get the vote up for the consent agenda? I will step out on a ledge here and let's do a voice vote. Oh.
I'm sorry, I'm not being prompted for it, but I'm happy to do a voice vote.
We're not prompting to be able to sign it.
And I refreshed.
I think we're safe in doing a voice vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So the consent agenda passes. And I look at my chart, and we have no new business. That moves us to member comments. Are there any comments from the members? for the good of the order? Ms. Goodwin?
Well, I just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving holiday. If you're in the mood for a wonderful turkey dinner, our technical college in Northport is serving Wednesday and Thursday. Our Sarasota location of the technical college is serving on Friday, and that's at the corner of Beneva and Proctor. And that includes all the fixings and dessert. It's a $10 charge, and it's a really well worth that value. It's just really low compared to what it should be. But I just want to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving and stay safe out there.
Ms. Rose?
Yes, I just wanted to thank all my fellow board members for the welcome today. My first day serving Sarasota County community, and the welcome from staff as well. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you. I know that we are going to come together on issues, and I'm always available to talk to any community member, and I think communication is key, and I'm quite sure we can accomplish that together as a board. And just for the record, I'm not Dr. Rose. I don't want to take away the credibility of those who have their PhD. I stopped with my master's degree, so I am Mrs. Rose, but looking forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
And if I may, I need to correct something you said. You said this is your first day you've been serving the community. It's the first day you've been serving the community as an elected board and seated board member. You have been serving this community for a long time.
Thank you.
And with that, we close. Our next board meeting will be on December 8th at 3 p.m.